right. Aaron Brightman, the Scarlet Faithful, happy Friday. The day before Rutgers basketball is back in action at Michigan on Saturday, 4 p.m. BTN. Have never won in Chrysler Arena in Ann Arbor, coming off the worst loss of the season at home Wednesday night against Penn State. And this is a get off the mat opportunity. This is a gut check game for sure. It sounded like Derek Simpson, credit to him, to speaking to the media after the game. He apologized to the fans. This team, I hope that they're embarrassed with how they played on Wednesday. They should be, because they're a lot better than that. And I'm not even talking about shooting the basketball. I know everyone wants to scream they're just terrible, and that's what it is, and they're never going to be a better offensive team. They're done. But they didn't show enough fight. They didn't show enough commitment on the glass or the defensive end. They were out of sorts. They weren't communicating. They weren't connected. They're better than that in those areas. Are they a 45 to 50% shooting team? No, from the floor? Probably not. They haven't been all season, so why are they going to be now? Are they a 75% free throw shooting team? No. Are they a 35 to 40% three-point shooting team? No. But if they can defend, if they can stay connected, if they can play with purpose on offense, if they can rebound the ball, if they can take care of the basketball, basic team basketball fundamentals. If they can communicate, this team will be better than a lot better than what we saw on Wednesday night, and they'll be able to win games in this league, despite what some people want to say. And Michigan is an absolute mess right now. There might not be a better medicine than playing at Michigan right now. They've lost 8 of 9. They've lost 4 in a row. It's not a bad offensive team. It's a very bad defensive team. And this is certainly an opportunity for Rutgers to respond from adversity, and this team to show some mental toughness, physical toughness, and bring some joy in the court and represent this program the way that Pikel teams have in the past. Let's first look at some stats from the Michigan perspective. This is a team, like I said, not good defensively at all, but offensively, they're 46th nationally in offensive efficiency. They rebound well on the offensive glass. They're top 100, almost over 32% efficiency in terms of offensive rebounding rate. They are a good three-point shooting team. They average over 37% from behind the arc. That's 33rd nationally. They're not a great free throw shooting team, just about 70%. Well, that's 218th. It's still better than Rutgers. And they're shooting 52% from 2, which is a little bit better than average. They do have a tendency to turn it over. They're about average with a 17.5 turnover rate. They do have a very high steal rate, so they get their pockets picked. That's like a tongue twister. They are vulnerable to steals. That's good news for the Rutgers defense. Rutgers, again, they're still, despite the loss against Penn State, they were pretty, Penn State shot poorly. I thought that the issue with defense for Rutgers against Penn State was that they weren't locked in enough. They didn't get enough stops consecutively to build some rhythm. And, they were steps slow at times. They didn't close out on three-point shooters that great. And they seem to get mixed up a little bit on switches and assignments, and, kind of were a little slow to react. And the intensity wasn't there where it needed to be. They've obviously shown they can at times. But listen, they're holding teams to 31% from three-point range. That's 55th nationally. 46% from two-point range. That's 36th. They have the 10th highest block rate in the country, courtesy of Cliff. This is a very good defensive team, but they're inconsistent. They've been too inconsistent on the defensive end. On the other side, Rutgers, we know, tremendous offensive struggles, offensive efficiency now, just 296 nationally. It's awful. But Michigan defense, 187th nationally. That's pretty bad. Rutgers is, shooting 28% from three. That's 345th nationally, 43.8% from two. That's 350th, and 64.7 from the foul line, 342nd. Michigan is not good at defending the three. Opponents are shooting over 36%. That's 320th nationally. This is a game where Michigan's been a mess on defense. If you watch some clips, my old partner, Ant Wright, former Michigan players, has broken down some film. It's on Twitter. You can find it. And they're just like they're not reading the offense. They're not matching up properly. They're getting lost in the half court. This is a classic game for Rutgers they have to work on their spacing. They have to spread Michigan out. They need to share the basketball, and they need to strategically attack the rim, but it can't just be one pass dribble drive. They need ball reversals. They need some screening actions. They need to have conviction in what they're doing in the half court. It can't be impulsive. There's going to be a game plan. They have to follow it. And, Cliff, I think, has an opportunity to have a big game here. Michigan they have some size overall on the wings. Trey Jackson, 6'10". Terrace Reed is 6'10". Cliff is going to have to be smart, stay out of foul trouble, and he can't just settle for 8 foot contested shots, with his footwork. He's got to work on his footwork. And if he's not settled and he doesn't have a good angle to the rim, he's at his best when he stays low and he's able to kind of, navigate his way to the basket around the defender. When he's flat-footed, when he's a little off balance, when he's on his toes, he's almost leaning away from the basket, and then he goes into a post move, and he's just too far away from the basket, not a good angle, not good balance. He's got to look for someone on the perimeter. I would like to see more ball screens with him up top. Michigan will probably go into drop coverage off the screens, and they still aren't looking for him enough on the roll. And I think he could be there. I think, rebound-wise, offensive rebounds, I think this is a game that Cliff, he played really hard against Penn State, but 6 rebounds is not enough for him. They got to get 6 rebounds. And just talking about rebounding from that game, I know in the second half, I harped on it. They were 26 minus 16 on the glass, granted, and I didn't really point this out in the recap. And again, it's a rapid reaction. Peichel had 3 guards in for most of the second half. Andre Hyatt played 3 minutes the whole half. Mag just 7. But listen, Derek Simpson had 8 rebounds. JaMychal Davis had 4. They played a combined 56 minutes. So they had a rebound every 4 minutes. When Hyatt and Mag were in there, they played 30 minutes combined. They had 3 combined rebounds. That's 1 every 10 minutes. So, Peichel talked about, it sounds like Mag's knees, I'm sure he's probably, he's been listed as questionable every game. He's having some soreness from not having the mileage on his legs and knees from, coming back. It sounds like that might be a little bit of an issue right now. Hyatt missed that layup and didn't come back in. I know Peichel talked about matchups and wanting to reduce turnovers and play smaller because of it. It obviously didn't work out on the glass at all. It really cost them. I don't know if it really was that intention or if it was a combination of that and sending a message to his veterans, because they're not getting enough from their starting 5. Mag particular, he was averaging over 16 points in a 5-game stretch, just 2 points in his last 3 games. Again, he could be hurting some. So I think they have to, as a team, get back to attacking the glass. They have to be aggressive. The whole thing I want to see in this game, win or lose, is how they come out at the start And how do they compete? How do they compete in this game? What is their intensity level? What is their energy level? How much are they talking to each other? How invested in the game do they seem? Because I said in the rapid reaction, it's a concerning spot right now. You don't want the wheels to come off. And I thought Pico's done a good job of keeping this team together. Obviously, Wednesday they weren't ready to play for whatever reason, and that has to change. You're going to last place Michigan. If you lose, you're in last place. So it's obviously important. Every game is important, of course. In terms of Michigan, let's see how they match up. Yeah, Michigan is they're fouling a lot. Excuse me, they don't foul a ton. They don't do well on the offensive glass. Opponents are almost 31% offensive rebounding rate for their opponents. That's 250th. And they don't force a lot of turnovers. That's a breath of fresh air after Penn State. So they're playing a defense that's not very good, that doesn't force a lot of turnovers, that's having trouble matchup. The Rutgers offense, they have to spread the floor. Derek Simpson, JaMychal Davis, Noah Fernandez was in there. I don't like the idea. This is no disrespect to Austin Williams, but he should not be a primary ball handler. He's got a high turnover rate. And he's just not at his best when he's running the offense. He needs to be a guy that gets the ball in reversal and then attacks the rim. He's good at getting to the rim. He's good at drawing contact at the rim. He should not be the lead ball handler. You need that Davis, Simpson, and Fernandez at times. And they need to move. They need to move the ball. Whether it's those kind of handoffs they do at the top of the key and around the perimeter. Play a little inside out, which they haven't done too much of, just in terms of reversing the ball. They got to get Michigan to work on the defensive end. Michigan is a good offensive team. They have a lot of guys with good ratings. Doug McDaniel's going to play. He hasn't been playing the road games. He's obviously very dangerous. He's 5'11". I think they're going to put Davis on him to start. It's going to be interesting to see. Does Derek Simpson start? Does JaMychal Davis start? We'll see what Pico does. He said after the Penn State game, he's going to evaluate everything. And he seemed sincere in that. So he could change the entire lineup. Who knows? But they need to keep Doug McDaniel in front of them, force contested jumpers, keep him out of the lane. Obviously, Cliff being a rim defender is going to help. He's got to stay on the floor. And it's important that they cover shooters. Terrence Williams is shooting 41.3% from three. He's their top target, top guy from behind the arc. They have to know where he is at all times. Doug McDaniel shoots a ton of threes too. He's about 34%, 36.5. Excuse me. Nakwama, the transfer from Tennessee, is at 34%. Namari Burnett shoots a lot too. He's at 33%. Jalen Llewellyn, the Ivy transfer. He's shooting well, but he's just coming back. He's going to be a factor probably in this game. So guard play, of course, is important. And in terms of the freshmen, JaMychal Davis, Gavin Griffiths both played well last game. Gavin, 2 games in a row now. I think he's been aggressive. He's been a hunter. They need scoring. You're not going to beat Michigan 55-50. You're going to have to put up 65 to 70 points to win this game, I think. Even with a really good defensive effort, I don't think you're going to hold Michigan under 60. It's going to be hard. So you got to score points. And Gavin is your best natural shooter. He's your guy that coming off screens, can hit shots. They need to get some threes, whether it's trailers in transition, kickouts on drives. They have to look for shooters. And I've seen an argument, why are they shooting threes? In this modern basketball, college basketball, you have to shoot threes. I know they've been dreadful, but if they're shooting threes within the flow of the offense, that's okay. Too many times this year, they just get caught up. They lose their patience, and they shoot contested threes. They shoot, 2-dribble long twos, way too many long twos. You got to get to the rim in this game. Be aggressive. Have an attacking mindset. Get downhill. Share the basketball, and bring the fight to Michigan. That's what I want to see more than anything. They could shoot 30% from the field, but if their shot selection is good, if they're playing together, if they're playing hard, if they're attacking the glass as a team, if they're sticking together defensively, closing out shooters, I mean, they're still going to be a tough out. So those are all the things we want to see. Of course, they have to make shots. They have to take care of the freebies from the line. We know that. The other thing, the intangible that we don't know, and it's this late Friday. News will probably come out half an hour after I post this, so I'll give it if or not. But the news that Jeremiah Williams has, put an injunction in against the NCAA, hoping to get cleared. Worst case is going to be available for the Minnesota game in a couple weeks based on the suspension, but they're trying to get him eligible immediately. He could be eligible for this Michigan game. He would certainly be a boost for this team. Everything I'm hearing in terms of how he's been, he has practiced the entire time. And I think, people don't want to hear excuses, but I have to imagine that this has taken its toll a little bit on this team in terms of having, a guy that sounds like is projected could very well be a starter before the season's over based on his potential and his talent level. Remember that, Illinois took him initially, Brad Underwood. That's a talented team from Iowa State. He was a good player at Temple. He's not going to be a top shooter. He can hit some shots. He's an average shooter, but he's a really good facilitator with the ball. He had a high assist rate at Temple. He's a very good defender. He has length. He's disruptive. I think he plays with a high IQ. He's going to, have some rust to shake off, but if he could be available for this game, it'd be a big boost for this team and certainly be an X factor for Rutgers in this game. Michigan having no prep time for him. So it'd be a huge bonus if he plays. If he doesn't, he doesn't. But I have to imagine that it's probably been a little bit of a mental toll for this team, wondering if he's going to play, when he's going to play. Pico, they've obviously had some kind of indication that this was close. So that's gotta be a little bit of a mind F a little bit. And, if he is eligible for Saturday, you could see the team kind of take a breath and play looser. And I just hope no matter what, they play looser on Saturday. They've been so tight and they just have to stay disciplined in terms of their defensive sets. They've been switching defenses pretty well. They've pressed at times, but they can't lose shooters, lose sight of them. They have to get back in transition. They have to cut off driving lanes. Steals will be there at times in this game. I think, how much ball pressure will they be? Will they trap it all? But in terms of the offense, they can't lose focus of the game plan. And the game plan surely is not 2 dribbles, take an 18-footer contested shot. That's not the game plan. And that's what they've been doing too much. So this is going to be a leadership game for this team. Everything that we didn't see on Wednesday, you need to bring on the road. This is probably their best opportunity for a road win this season. They got to get it. I know people want to say this season's over. Just in terms of Gavin and Davis, by the way, in terms of playing them as much as possible, I think they have to play certainly a lot. I hope that Pico shortens the rotation in this game. I think, play a little bit of the hot hand. I think we want to see what the seniors of this team, the starters of this team, how do they respond to Wednesday? How does Andre Hyatt and Wat Mag respond to not playing much in the second half? Strategic or not, they didn't play much. They can't be happy about that. Cliff needs to play like a man possessed, like he has at times. When he does, he's pretty hard to stop. Derek Simpson needs to show focus and leadership in that one role. So a lot of question marks there. Interesting to see what's going to happen there. But what I'm saying is with Davis and Griffiths is that you're going to have to live through some mistakes. So I hope they do. It's going to be very interesting to see. Pico was pretty adamant about looking, evaluating at everything. They only had one practice. They had a mandatory NCAA day off on Thursday. I think that's a good thing, just in terms of clearing their heads. So let's see how mentally tough this team is. Let's see how physically tough they are, because I haven't given up on them. I know, there's a certain sect of the fan base that wants to, that's angry that I haven't just destroyed everybody, says I'm not objective enough, whatever. I'm being me, and this is how I see it. There's technical things that they have to be better at, but that doesn't mean they can't improve on them. And there is talent on this team. They can win this game if they play to their abilities, if they play with the focus and the intensity and the energy they play with against Seton Hall, and they executed in the manner they did, they can win this game for sure. So thank you for listening and watching the Scarlet Faithful podcast once again, and I'll be back with a rapid reaction after the game, 4 p.m. Eastern, BTN. Thanks again.